What is going on, everyone? It is Zach, the Purdue fan here, coming at you with another video, and it is Thursday, September 2nd. We are under 48 hours before the Purdue Boilermakers kick off against the Oregon State Beavers at home at Ross-Ade Stadium, and I felt like we're getting closer to the season, and I think it's time. We are going to go over my record prediction for the Boilermakers this year in the 2021 season. Um, this is a tough schedule. I mean, obviously you have the typical Big Ten West foes, but you see Notre Dame in the non-conference schedule, and you draw Ohio State from the Big Ten East. So, what will Purdue's record be? Let's find out. All right, starting off with week one, as I mentioned in the intro, this upcoming Saturday, Purdue will be taking on Oregon State. Now, Oregon State is a team that I'm kind of glad to see Purdue have on their schedule. They're not a very good team, but I think it's a team that'll give Purdue a challenge. They released their depth chart a couple days ago, and if you see me looking down, I'm looking at my phone. I have their depth chart right here. They have Sam Neuer at quarterback. He's a Colorado transfer that played pretty significant time last year. Completed over, I think, about 55% of his passes, and I think had just above 1,000-yard passing season. I may be wrong on that. B.J. Baylor, running back. I've heard he doesn't have a lot of experience. Sort of, kind of filling the shoes of their old running back. And from what I'm hearing out of Oregon State camp, they like what their defense has been showing. Now, I've heard that it's also a weak point of their team, which I don't know how that works. Maybe the offense isn't looking good or something along those lines. But I'm pretty excited for this game. Obviously, I'll be attending my first Purdue game in almost over a year. So I think Purdue wins this game. The spread is set at 7 in favor of Purdue. I think they cover the spread. If you would like to see a more in-depth, analysis and prediction about this game, I'll be making a preview and prediction on this game tomorrow, as in Friday, and I hope to get it out on Friday or in the early stages of Saturday, at least before kickoff. But I have Purdue opening the season 1-0. I think Oregon State will give Purdue a challenge, but they're not the best team, and I think this is a good win that Purdue will get to get them rolling in the season. Over a Power 5 opponent. Yet again, not the best Power 5 opponent, but I think it's a good win to start the season. On 9/11, week 2, Purdue's second game of the season. I just like to point this out. Keep in mind that this prediction on Purdue's record is after all the Week 0 games. Obviously, Purdue plays Illinois every year as an in-division opponent, and this year UConn is on the schedule. Nebraska is on the schedule as well, another Big Ten West in-division opponent. But so some of these predictions will be based off of Week 0. The performances in Week 0 have been taken into account by myself. So just keep that in mind. When we get into UConn, I think this is an easy win. I think this is a win that will skyrocket in point margin in favor of the Boilermakers. And UConn in Week 0, they took on Fresno State and got absolutely demolished. I'm sure some of you have seen that one Fresno State player take on about 6 UConn players and end up scoring. It's a team I really don't know about a lot. But what I do know is that they're terrible, and that's really all that matters. I think Purdue gets their second win of the season against UConn, and I think this is going to be such a cakewalk for Purdue. I think the score last week was Fresno State 48, UConn nothing. UConn is just absolutely terrible, and Purdue will put major points on the board in this one. Then the third game of the season, rivalry renewed. The Boilermakers will be taking on the Notre Dame Fighting Irish at Notre Dame. And, we don't really know what to expect from Notre Dame this year. Obviously, Notre Dame made a college football playoff appearance last season with players of the likes of Ian Book, who have went to the NFL, Kyron Williams, Michael Mayer is still on the team, Williams the running back, obviously Mayer the tight end, Hamilton in the secondary, he's pretty dang good, but, you know, Notre Dame, they found somebody to fill the shoes of Ian Book. They brought in Jack Cohn from Wisconsin to play quarterback, the lefty. Killed Purdue that 1 year in 2019. But I think this is, I'm a big fan of traditional rivalries like this. I think Purdue and Notre Dame should play every year, even though that most years, probably nine times out of 10. Excuse me. 9 times out of 10, Notre Dame probably wins this game. But I like to see the rivalry come back. Yet again, it may not always go in Purdue's favor, and I think Notre Dame wins this game quite easily. I think Notre Dame. I mean, depending on how they look against Florida State on Saturday, maybe my opinion on Notre Dame will change. Who knows? But Notre Dame has a couple weeks to prepare for this game. Like I said, they play Florida State on Saturday. Who knows how they're going to look? But initially looking at it, I think Notre Dame wins quite easily. Then, week 4, Purdue's 4th game of the season, they take on Illinois to open up the conference schedule. And Illinois, not too bad. I expect Purdue to win this game, and I think Purdue does win this game. This game's at home. I think Purdue is definitely the better team. Illinois dealing with some injuries. They had Hart Jr., this week's Defensive Player of the Week in the Big Ten Conference, had that fumble recovery for a touchdown. He has ended, his season's over. He had knee surgery today, as in Thursday. Brandon Peters also hurt his shoulder, but Art Sitkowski looked pretty good in that Nebraska game. And not only that, Nebraska is terrible, but I think, obviously, whenever you lose your starting quarterback, it's obviously a big blow to the team. But I think if you're an Illinois fan, you're kind of refreshed and you're not in too much of worry because Art Sitkowski looked pretty good. I knew this would be an improved Illinois team, and I think Purdue is better than Illinois, so I'm going to give Purdue the win here. I think it'll be a pretty close game. Maybe. I don't expect it to be a blowout, maybe like how a UConn game would be, or normally when Purdue and Illinois play. Purdue has played Illinois well. They consistently beat them, and that's a good thing. They're a divisional opponent. But, I have Purdue winning this game. Then the following week, Minnesota comes to town, and this video is, as we speak, as I'm recording this, the Minnesota-Ohio State game is going on, and last time I saw it was 14-10 Gophers at halftime. So, Minnesota, they look pretty good. Minnesota, they return, I believe, 9 or 10 starters on defense, and obviously they have Tanner Morgan, Mohamed Ibrahim, Chris Autman-Bell, who's not playing this evening, but I think on October 2nd, I think he will be playing. So, Minnesota is a pretty good team. I expect them to be maybe 7-8 win team, which I think is a pretty good year for them. They were stuck in some COVID troubles in 2020, but 2020 we're throwing that year out the window. 2019 they went 11-2, which is a very successful season for the Gophers. But many people have put this game in Purdue's favor. I don't see why. I think Minnesota's the better team. Maybe Purdue can keep it close. I don't know. We'll have to see how Minnesota looks the next four games, including Ohio State. Maybe I personally feel like Ohio State's going to beat Minnesota, but and for Purdue's sake, I think Minnesota gets it done. Then following the Minnesota game, you get on a bye week, and that bye week will be used to prepare for Iowa. Purdue ended up beating Iowa last year, and it was a very huge win. Week 1 in 2020. But this year, I don't think it's going to go such that way. I'm someone who's very high on the Hawks this year. Spencer Petras, Tyler Goodson, Sam Laporta at tight end. When Kirk Ferentz has a returning running back and quarterback, it's a really good formula for him to have some major success. And especially Iowa always consistently has a pretty good defense. Jeff Brom in his tenure in his 4 years, he's entering his 5th year. In his 4 years at Purdue, let's see. He beat them in 17, 18, and 20. So he's beaten Iowa 3 times. It's a team that he plays. He gets his guys ready to go, and they always play Iowa well. This year, I don't think it's going to go in Purdue's favor. Iowa's a very good team, and I think they can challenge Wisconsin for the Big Ten West. So on that note, I am going to give Iowa the win. I mean, these 3 games of Minnesota, Iowa, and Wisconsin, I mean, that's the top 3 Big Ten West teams. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, like I mentioned, Wisconsin's up next this game in Ross-Ade Stadium, and this is another team I'm high on. I really like what Wisconsin has across the board. Jalen Burker, good running back. Although supposedly he's not the featured back this year, it's going to be Ches Malusi, a Clemson transfer. But I think the first thing, other than the running backs, is Graham Mertz. Graham Mertz, first year starting last season. He was in some COVID troubles, but in his time playing in 2020, he showed some major potential. I think he's a guy that's set for a good year, and I think second, third, maybe fourth year starting, he's going to have some major success. I think Wisconsin is a team that is way far ahead than Purdue. Right now, they're ranked 12th. That'll probably change because this game's all the way at the end of October. So I have Wisconsin beating Purdue, and I think Purdue really doesn't stand a chance. Wisconsin is a very, very good team. Then the following week, you play at Nebraska. We play at Nebraska. Nebraska's terrible. We saw it in week 0. Adrian Martinez can't hit a barn. He can't hit a wooden board. Certainly can't hit his receiver's hands. Although he did show that he still has his running ability, which is definitely something you have to look at. But yeah, I think Nebraska is just flat out terrible. Many people have picked Nebraska to win this game. I don't know why. I think Purdue is much better than Nebraska. So I have Nebraska losing and Purdue winning. I think this is an easy, maybe not such an easy win because this game's in Lincoln, but I think it's a game Purdue definitely wins. Then the following week, the Michigan State Spartans travel to West Lafayette, Indiana, and they take on Purdue. Michigan State, team at the bottom of the East last year. I think Michigan State will be improved. They return their top 3 receivers. They still don't. They play Saturday against Northwestern, September 4th. They play Northwestern. It's Thursday, September 2nd, and they still have no idea who their quarterback is. I think it's between Anthony Russo and Peyton Thorne. I think that's who their quarterback battle is consisting of. But I think Michigan State will be improved. This will be Mel Tucker's first full offseason as Michigan State head coach. Obviously, he didn't have that in 2020. So I think this will be somewhat of a challenge, but I think Purdue is the better team. Michigan State, I think, has a pretty good defense too, but I really don't know what to expect from Michigan State's quarterbacks as they obviously lost Rocky Lombardi to Michigan State. But I have Purdue winning this game. I think it'll be somewhat close. I don't expect it to be a blowout, although I think Purdue is the better team by quite a significant edge. But I think Purdue gets it done, and I think it's a pretty important win as well. Then the following week, you travel to Ohio State, but yeah, this isn't 2018. This isn't where Purdue was playing at home in prime time and they were really jacked up to play. And not only that, they're playing for Tyler Trent and the entire Purdue fan base. They're all with him. Ohio State, I think this is a typical Ohio State team. Although, they lose Justin Fields to the NFL, I think what I've seen from and keep in mind, this video is being recorded while Ohio State's playing Minnesota right now. And from what I've seen from C.J. Stroud, he doesn't have a passing touchdown yet, but he looks pretty good. I mean, he's throwing a good ball. He had that one to Garrett Wilson where he may have overthrown him a yard or two, but, Wilson, full extension, laid out, hit him in the hands, fell right through. I felt like that was a really good throw. From what I've seen from C.J. Stroud, he looks pretty good. He throws a good football. And, Ohio State, I mean, there's really not much to say. Ohio State's just a very good team, and I don't think this is a game where Purdue has a chance. Now, if you watch college football all across America on the D4 Sports channel, which I highly recommend you do, um, we've been doing the show on Wednesdays sometimes. We've been doing it on Thursdays sometimes. It all depends on when people are available. But you'll just have to check the notifications you get from D4 Sports, and yeah. So I highly recommend you check that out. I originally had Purdue at 5-7. Now, right now, I think I have Purdue at 5 wins going into this Northwestern game. Those being Oregon State, Connecticut, Illinois, Nebraska, and Michigan State. Yeah, that's 5 wins. I had Purdue slated at 5-7 when I did my Purdue prediction on the D4 Sports College Football All Across America show. I have a little bit of a change. I have changed my mind. I have Purdue at 6 wins, and this is where the sixth win comes, and it's against Northwestern. Northwestern, I think, is a solid team, but for the rest of the year, they're missing Cam Porter. Um, they're missing one of their top offensive linemen. They both had, I believe, they were foot injuries. I'm not 100% sure on that. When the news first came out, they classified it as a lower body injury, which, what the heck is that supposed to mean? Is it like their thigh? Is it a hamstring? Is it a torn ACL? Is it a broken leg? Is it a broken ankle, broken foot? Who knows? And I don't think that information has came out, but I thought I saw they were both broken foot. Who knows? And Hunter Johnson won the Northwestern quarterback job, which I would have started Helinski. When I looked into this Northwestern quarterback battle, I originally heard Helinski was indeed the front runner, but it ended up being Hunter Johnson. This weekend, September 4th, Northwestern takes on Michigan State. I think it's a game that I will watch because I'm quite intrigued on how this Northwestern team is going to look. But I've always noticed when Northwestern graduates a quarterback, they don't look very good the following season. And this is a neutral site game it's being played at Wrigley Field, the home of the Chicago Cubs. And I think this may be a little bit of a surprise, but I think Purdue beats Northwestern. So, and that'll and Indiana I think is a good team. They may not have the season they did last year. They may lose against Penn State. They may lose to Ohio State. So a 10-2 season, maybe they lose to Michigan or somebody along those lines, to put them at 9-3. But sorry. But in the terms of where they are compared to Purdue, I think they're in a better spot. And I think if you put them head to head, I think, and it pains me to say this as a Purdue fan, but I think Indiana's better. So I have Purdue at 6-6, and I think that saves Jeff Brom his job. Jeff Brom, I do think, is on the hot seat this year. He's made it to 2 bowl games, which is definitely an improvement from the last coaching staff. He beat Arizona in 2017 and lost to Auburn in 2018. 2019, they had an injury-filled season where I think they had like a 3-9, 4-8 season, and somewhere in that range. And then in 2020, you had the COVID year, which was difficult. All their losses were within 8 points, which is definitely tough. And I think the main focus is finishing this year. You're gonna see a new look defense. The defensive staff has been wiped out. They've brought in Brad Lambert, Mark Hagan, and Ron English, and all of them are going to come up with a defensive scheme along with Jeff Brom. And from what I've heard out of camp, it is an aggressive scheme. Tighter coverage on the corners, bringing blitzes from all over the place, getting more pressure on the quarterback. And I think this Saturday we'll get to see that aggression for the first time. And I'm very intrigued on how the defense is going to look. From the offensive standpoint, I really don't see a lot of changes. Jack Plummer won the quarterback job, but a Jeff Brom offense, they're capable of scoring points, and I don't think the offense is a problem. The past 4 years, the defense has been my as a fan, as a spectator, as a team who watches this team every week. The defense was definitely my most frequent complaint. Why are they this bad? Type deal. And with the new scheme, I hope we see a better defensive product. But nonetheless, I expect Purdue to be improved, especially with the new defensive scheme. I have them at 6-6, and I feel like if Purdue doesn't make a bowl game, I do believe Jeff Brom is fired, which I've actually kind of liked. Jeff Brom, he's improved recruiting. He's definitely improved the expectation and especially product on the field. I mean, from the previous coaching staff, it was terrible. But the product on the field has improved. Some of you may not think that. I mean, we've made 2 bowl games, for goodness sake. Recruiting has improved. I mean, he's brought in players from the likes of Rondale Moore, David Bell, George Karlaftis, guys like that. So the recruiting is definitely improved. So maybe I don't know if firing Jeff Brom would be addition by subtraction. We'll determine that based on how this season goes. But to wrap this up, I have Purdue at 6-6. Those 6 wins being against Oregon State, Connecticut, Illinois, Nebraska, Michigan State, and Northwestern. So that'll do it for this video. Like I said, I have Purdue in 6-6. And stay tuned for tomorrow's video where I'll be doing a preview and prediction on just the Purdue-Oregon State game specifically. And on Saturday, I will be in attendance for the Purdue-Oregon State game, so be on the lookout Sunday or Monday for a vlog from my in-stadium experience, as this will be my first Purdue football game in over a year. I believe it's the last one I went to was in November of 2019. So, I thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, hit the thumbs up button. Leave a comment on your thoughts on Purdue's record. And subscribe and ring that notification bell already. We're almost at 60, and hopefully we can get to maybe 100 someday. So, this has been Zach the Purdue fan, and we'll see you next time. Boiler up and hammer down.